Okay. So now Nina, um, they're like, I guess when you do like gymnastics or ballet or sports, you do see someone who like maybe is like a physical trainer or something, and they like check out your body, make sure everything's working good. So that's kind of what was going on with Nina in this scene. She was getting a little bit of a checkup. And the person who was doing the checkup on her said that her diaphragm is contracted. Okay. So there's contracting energy, which goes inward, and then there's expanding energy, which goes outward, right? So, so many things coming to mind. So, she said that her diaphragm is contracting, it's going in. So one, like something going like in contracting is more the dark energy. So now Nina is embodying a little bit more of that dark energy, but it's also like kind of bad because it has to do with her breathing. And a lot of the times when our breathing is like, we feel like we can't have like a full breath, or like it's like contracting, kind of like similar to asthma. It's usually because we feel an overbearing energy, and you feel like it's hard to breathe, like you don't have any room, you don't have any space. And that's going on within her body. So it's like she just got her own room in the dance studio. Now she goes home and she wants to use that stick, but she's not using it. She could have used it, and it wouldn't have been a big deal with a healthy, mentally healthy parent. Like, oh, you want your space, you want your room, like that's fine, go ahead, honey. But the sweet good girl cannot stand up for herself. So she's feeling contracted and mentally, and she's wanting to, I mean, it would be healthier and probably more comfortable to expand, but her mom might get upset. So this is like a psychological thing still. And um also the diaphragm, it kind of, I think it has something to do with like birth control. So that's another thing, birth control, growing up, like, yeah. So I don't know exactly how the diaphragm has to do with that, but I looked it up. It has something to do with that. I don't know. So it has to do with our breathing, and it has to do with birth control. And then the man is rushing her. Okay, so symbolically, what this could mean also when it comes to the birth control is like she could be feeling claustrophobic and like pressure on growing up a little too fast from Tama, you know? Like, because he's wanting to, like, obviously he's wanting to sleep with her. He already tried kissing her, he invited her to his apartment. You know what I mean? He was only talking about sex, right? So I think she's feeling that, like, that force to grow up and like let people have their way with her, I guess. I don't know. But she's feeling that pressure, I think, from him. And symbolically, the diaphragm had to do with like both. Um, and then like the woman who, like, how her woman teacher and her mom both called her sweet girl. It's almost like he's wanting her to grow up fast, but the women are wanting her to stay the sweet girl because um, when Veronica was talking about the older woman energy, like as a hater, she was saying like, oh, she's getting older, this, that, and there's a lot of pressure as women get older. And sometimes they do become haters because of men. Like maybe they thought like very innocently at first, kind of like Nina, but then they see the way certain men move. Not all men, but certain, to the point where people do think it's everyone. Deep down, we probably know it's not, but right now, and how it's been these past couple of decades, as far as we can see, and from what we know historically, like, you know. So it's almost like she's feeling the pressure from the adult women to stay a sweet girl because they're telling her, sweet girl, sweet girl, sweet girl. And then Tama is like, sex, sex, uh, you know, um, like what the fuck? So she's probably feeling like this overbearing energy of like wanting to, wanting to accommodate the mom and then wanting to accommodate Tama, right? But because the older women are calling her a sweet girl, trying to keep her a sweet girl, because if she was embodying that gangster Black Swan, people love the gangster, you know what I mean? And so she's gonna become more attractive, especially because she's more of a full person and less of a people pleaser. Because if it's just the sweet innocent girl, then the sweet innocent girl has to protect herself. She doesn't have the gangster to protect her, right? The sweet innocent girl shouldn't be protecting herself. A child should not be protecting themselves. I mean, they can, and I recommend that they do, but um, it's okay for a child to stand up to an adult, even though we don't really see things that way yet. But we will. And so, yeah, it's a lot. I think you guys pretty much get what I'm saying. The older women are being haters, wanting to keep her down, and the man is being a hater, wanting to control her also. Just like he wanted to control Beth and keep her stuck by not actually communicating his intentions and acting like he's being nurturing, but he's not. Because nurturing helps you grow, it doesn't keep you in the same place, right? Soil, air, the sun, the water, it nurtures us and it helps the plants grow. But where there's no light, where there's no soil, nutritious soil, like what's going to happen to the plant, right? Where there's no genuine water, what's going to happen to the plant? They're not nurturing anything. They're watering the plants with like coffee and like soda. It's inauthentic. It's not what it's supposed to be. But they're not saying that. They're like, well, I'm putting this liquid here. The fuck? So now, um, so I think this is another scene where Tama and Nina are dancing, and I think he was like almost trying to take advantage of her, again, and then he discards her. So now she's like emotional, right? Because she was spending this alone time with him and he wasn't nurturing her. He was trying to take advantage of her. And she could feel that mentally. And then he discarded her, just like the mom does, where she acts nurturing and she acts like she's celebrating her with the cake, but then she gets upset. And so now Lily comes in, and this is the first time we see Lily and Nina by themselves. Soloist? Perhaps. She's going after the solo, so she needs to be on top of her game, apparently. And she's smoking inside. Lily is. So then she gives Nina a cigarette and gets Nina to trust her. And and then Nina is being vulnerable, like how she is with her mom, right? But this is the first time we see Lily in a contracting energy because they're inside, right? Like our body, the lungs are inside and the diaphragm is inside, and the diaphragm was contracted, and that's what helps draw in air to the lungs, right? So the diaphragm nurtures the lungs, and the lungs is symbolized by Gemini. So Lily is inside of a building with Nina, and it's just them two, and they're smoking a cigarette, right? Which is not good for your lungs. It's gonna add to the contracting energy, probably, um, of the diaphragm. It's not gonna help. And she was doing it, and then she was getting Nina to do it, which Nina wouldn't have normally done that. And it probably would have been best for her to be disciplined, because just like we see that statue, the statue was like a stone, which is Capricorn, and then the air was Gemini. So I think it was kind of telling her, maybe like in this part, like if she was being the healthy father masculine energy like Capricorn, she would have been more strict. She would have seen things more in the future, not so much like the Capricorn, but uh, Nina doesn't have any father figure in her life besides Tama, as far as we can see. So instead of being strict, having boundaries, and not smoking the cigarette with Lily, Lily probably would have left. But no, Nina ends up being vulnerable instead of like a Capricorn and protecting themselves first, not protecting themselves after. Cancer tends to protect themselves, but overall, when we're not being healthy, we tend to protect ourselves after. We're like open hearted, warming, come into my house. Cancer symbolizes the house, right? So I feel like Nina also feels at home during ballet, and it was just them inside the ballet studio by themselves. So it's like Nina's home, and they're disrespecting it. And she's not being strict and structured and not taking a cigarette, where Lily would have left and all of this probably would have been over with. Who knows, right? Because she would have been like, oh, this girl's boring. And when you seem boring, they don't want to play with you, right? But no, you're protecting yourself. And that's another subconscious thing that is going on. Capricorns often seem boring until they feel that they can trust you, and they're so much fun because they need to feel that they can trust you, because they care about their reputation, they care about their career. They actually care about that stuff. And Cancer also does, but they're more sweet, naive, kind of like, oh no, come into my house, like let me make you some food, whatever. Capricorn is going to come off more cold. So her Gemini energy should have been there. Her protecting herself, the gangster, the sweet, and then also the structure. Her being her own father. Tama, right before that, discarded her again for the who knows how many times. And Nina just started crying because she was looking for his protection, her fatherly protection outside of her. But if she just would have stayed structured and maintained that, she would have been protecting herself in that moment. And then she would have probably self-soothed herself in a subconscious way, because right then and there, that pattern would have been broken. Okay? But it seems like Lily is helping her, but she's actually not. Just like how we see the mom being there for Nina when she cries, like she's helping her, but she's actually not, because when Nina is trying to protect herself in any way, the mom gets upset. So she doesn't actually care about that stuff. Nah, I mean. Okay, and so now Nina is in the tub, and water is symbolized by emotions. And there's a picture in the back right behind her, and I'm assuming it's a white swan, because that's what the movie is about, swans, right? But it looks like a duck. I love ducks. I'm big on ducks. So I know about ducks. I used to have a duck. Okay? So, um, ducks, when you see them in the water, what they symbolize is like, usually ducks seem stupid, and they can hurt themselves very easily. Um, and what they symbolize is telling you to like slow down, enjoy the moment, enjoy the present moment. She just got the Swan Queen. She should have been structured, calm, enjoying herself, and doing the same thing, going to ballet every day and not smoking with people who already get under her skin, not looking for a man who's already discarded her multiple times to protect her. So a lot of the times when people are trying to get us, when people are trying to control us, like how they were trying to control Beth and Lily, the best thing for them to do, from my perspective, and from my perspective, is slow down. You know what I mean? When she was dancing with that guy for the second time and he was not black, it was almost like he was chasing her around and she was fearful. But the best thing for her to do is probably to like slow down and be in control of herself, because no one else controls her. She controls herself, right? In all reality. But they don't want her to see that. And when people try to get you to move fast, and when you're driving a car fast, you're not seeing things clearly. Everything around you seems more blurry. That's the subconscious Piscean energy. So there we go. And so there's a duck behind her, and I think that was, and she was in a tub. You know what I mean? Like, where is the water gonna go in the tub? It's not gonna go nowhere, right? So it's almost like she's sitting. Water has to do with emotions, right? And it's also um, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio is water signs. So there's that playing, and I think that it was almost symbolizing like for her to like slow down and like actually look around actually at what's going on, because it's easy to bump into things and have accidents when you're moving too fast. But there we go. So she's in the tub, and I think there was some symbolism about emotions and also something about telling her to like slow down and pay attention. But then we see blood, and then we see the person that looks like her again, and her scabs are getting worse. So now she's getting like irritable again, and then she's cutting her nails and she's bleeding. So you know she's her protection is like gone. And I think she got scared when she saw the person that looked like her, and instead of getting scared, I think it would have been best to like get curious and see what's going on, because they don't want her to see that. They're trying to rush her too much with their quick emotions and, oh, get out of here, oh, discard, oh, get a cab, you don't want to talk about sex, okay, fine, and what? So the best thing would have been to slow down, and she probably would have kept her nails, and you got to be patient for your nails to grow. We never see our nails grow, but it's like before you know it, if you leave them alone long enough, they grow. So sometimes nurturing is just like leaving things alone to do for themselves, right? My nails already know what to do. So she's bleeding and she just cut her nails. Now we see Tama again. So after her bath scene and her cutting her nails, she's in the studio once again, and Tama is there once again. And so her self protection is gone. So after she smoked with Nina, she was in the tub, and it was a great time to reflect, right? Instead of reflecting from a mirror and the mirror telling you what it sees, because that's not actual reality, it's not how people see you. Water also gives off a reflection, and that's when the twin popped up when she was in the tub. But then she cuts her nails because she got scared. And apparently when she stands up for herself, people get upset, she gets scared, and she apologizes. And it's like the same thing as them controlling her, even though she controls herself. So now she's with Tama again, and I think she's dancing, but he's kind of like being cold with her, like a Capricorn kind of comes off, like stone cold. He's being like that with her. He's not being nurturing or warm at all, which in a healthy way, a father is warm, nurturing, and when a Capricorn is healthy and loving, they really are like that. There's still going to be like distance, something about that, but also when you leave things alone and they nurture themselves and they're fine. So that's like healthy Capricorn. But he was not paying attention to her, and she was looking to him to like kind of like guide her, and like she was looking to him for his protection. And she just cut off her nails, so she's looking for someone outside of herself to protect her. But he's upset. He's not about to protect her. He's upset. He's never protected her. He's upset. It's about him. He's trying to protect himself. He's going through his own things, right? And yeah. So then he brings up the fact that Lily went to, so now Lily, she vented to her and she knows what's going on and she can help her. So she's looking like now Lily is trying to take the place of another person who's trying to protect her. Like, and she went to talk to Tama apparently that, maybe to go easy on her. And, that she was crying and she was upset. So Nina apologizes and he calls her weak, right? But maybe he only wants her to be that. Who knows? Because when the mom and the teacher called her a sweet girl, I believe that they wanted her to stay that way and just be a good girl. And when he called her weak, he put Beth like in this empowered place where she was the star, she was the swan queen, and then behind the scenes she was his princess. But then he put her like in a confused state, and we see her being weak, but to him he described that side of her as almost perfect to him. And so when he calls Nina weak after she apologizes, I believe that she was starting to be more and more perfect for him, to him. So after that, Nina's upset. She confronts Lily. Lily plays stupid, in my opinion. And then Lily's upset because Nina told her to mind her business. She doesn't apologize, I believe. I think she was just like, okay. But that okay was like, okay, where's your protection now? I'm the one that's protecting you. I'm the one that talked to Tama. I'm the one that's taking your mom's place and also being like Tama. I'm protecting you. Okay. We'll see who protects you now. Like that was a threat? Okay. Okay, period. Period. Ugh. This is very personal. I'm going to talk about my personal story, and my perspective on this is all going to make sense. So I just want to say that because a lot of people do copy content, and they've copied my content like word for word, and they're bigger pages, and then they try to keep me small. So I've had my own experiences, and I would like to talk about my own story, but it's been very difficult because it's like a beginning to end, and you got to circle back around, and you got to bring up other things. And honestly, this is perfect way to start because it's like you guys get to see the movie and you guys get to see my symbolism, my perspective, and then you're gonna get to see. We're gonna circle back around with everything to make it a fuller conversation. But all this comes from personal experience. But I didn't kill myself. I wasn't about to do that shit. So yeah. I don't think God was gonna let me do that shit, to be honest. Um, so now Lily's was like, okay, after Nina was like telling her to mind her business. It's like get out of my room vibes, right? Like Nina's would prefer to have her own room, but she's the one who was smoking a cigarette in a room in basically what is like her own home, her ballet studio with Lily. So she kind of like invited her in instead of being like, no, I'm not going to smoke that cigarette with you. So there we go. But now Nina's upset at Lily, you know? It's like psychological. So after that happened, Nina's on the train again. So someone else is driving and she's filing her nails. So she's letting someone else control the narrative and she's not protecting herself because she's cutting off her nails. And she's not in control, she's not in charge. And then there's a man on the train in an all black suit He is like touching his balls and he's like taunting her and he's like, um, basically like he wanted to like have sex with her or something. And he's wearing all black. And halfway through the movie, Nina is starting to wear. Now we see her after this wearing darker colors like gray and black, but not fully black. And then now that she's wearing more darker colors and she's starting to maybe protect herself a little bit more. Um, her mom is like, her and her mom are having a conversation, and then her mom said something like, "Oh, I don't want you to end up like me." But I think we could. I mean, I'm gonna speak for myself. Me, I was getting the vibe that the mom did do certain things to get certain roles, and because she was talking about Tama, and then she said, "I don't want you to end up like me," right? Like maybe like bitter, discarded, or something. But she wasn't saying that. And then she said she turned it about her career, just like the scene with the cake when she was gonna throw away the cake, and then she goes, "Oh, I just wanted." Oh, what did she say? Something she said. "Oh, I just wanted to celebrate you," but it wasn't very celebratory. It wasn't very happy. So it's like the mom doesn't say what she means, and then and yeah. So in this scene, she was talking about that, but then she says something about like her career. She changes the subject. And yeah, you could tell that was like irritating Nina, but she wasn't picking at her skin. I didn't see that in that scene, that her skin was irritated. She actually expressed that from within, and she goes, "What career?" Right? Gemini has to do with communication. So now that gangster twin was starting to come out, and she said, "What career?" And that pissed the mother off. Because you don't always have to use brute force like your nails and your teeth. Communication will fight for you before physical things, honestly, I think. Or vice versa. You know, I think it could go both ways. Either could go first. But then the mom gets upset and asks Nina about her skin, right? Because it wasn't getting under Nina's skin. Nina was letting it out. Her mom wasn't getting under her skin at this point. Now Nina's getting under her mom's skin, which would probably cause her mom to have some sort of negative skin condition, right? Because it's really, at the end of the day, it's really the mom that's irritated. And we see that more than anything on the outside. But then when she's able to control Nina, she's like, "Oh, calm." And so she asks her about her skin. Like she's trying to get under Nina's skin, and she knows that she does. At least on a subconscious level, the mom knows that she does. So she gets upset that Nina said what career, her protection. Basically saying like, "The fuck, you are a lying ass bitch." And then the mom asks about her skin, and then she tells her to take off her shirt. So this is the second time that Nina's mom is telling Nina to take off her clothes. The first time was when she first was at Toma's house, and then she's like, "Take off your clothes." Now she's talking about Tama, right? At first she was like, "Oh, I don't blame him," right? In that first scene. Now she's talking about Tama again. The mom is bringing him up first. And then Nina stands up for herself. Then she's irritated and she's asking about her skin and she's telling her to take off her shirt. And Nina's saying no, right? Which is different from the first time that they were talking about Tama. I think she actually undressed Nina. I don't remember. So then Lily enters the chat and she goes to Nina's house. So first she's in Nina's house in the ballet. Now she's showing up out of the blue, out of nowhere. That's some confidence right there. To Nina's home with her mom. And Lily's wearing black. And then Nina says no, right? So that was good. Capricorn energy structure. And then the mom is being overbearing and she's like wanting Nina to listen to her. So Nina's having to rebel a little bit, or things are happening so fast. She's getting pulled in this direction and in that direction, and she doesn't want to go either way, right? So then she goes, "What about drinks?" And then the mom was there, so then Nina goes, "You know what? Fuck it." Kind of, and then they go get drinks. And so now Nina and Lily are having like a chill conversation, but Lily still, the last thing we saw of her was her being like, okay, when Nina tried to protect herself. So she already had a plan, right? Because no one says okay like that. I don't think I need to explain more. But, apparently they're having a good time, almost like they forgot about it. Like they're both sweet and innocent and naive, right? Um, and they're having a conversation about Tama, and they're talking about Beth and like how he is, and it's like almost like Nina is being naive and is like, no, Beth, the little princess name is only for Beth, like no one else. And then Lily seems to have more experience, and she's like, and also Virgo is kind of like the only person who could tell Gemini. So the Virgo energy, Lily, is telling the Gemini energy, Nina, like what she thinks and feels. Like, no, you're being naive. Like, okay, we'll see what happens with that. Like she already knows. And Virgo comes, um is technically older. Like Capricorn is older than Virgo and Gemini. So they see things coming, they protect themselves first. It's Gemini, they come off more naive, more playful, and then Virgo. Virgo seems more grounded, but they're from the same planet, okay? So Virgo can tell Gemini like you're wrong, and Gemini would normally be more upset. This is observations from another astrologer, the specific thing. But I have Gemini placement, so I think it's true. Where Virgo would tell Gemini like, no, you're wrong, or I disagree with you. Like you actually, it's more like this, is like that, and Gemini won't get upset. So that's what was going on with their dynamic there, and things were chill. And then after that, Lily offers something sexy for Nina to wear. So it's like she's having these private conversations with her mom, and then it's all of a sudden, take off your clothes. And she was at Tomal's house or his place or whatever, and he was getting into sexual talk. He wanted her to take off her clothes. And then now she's with Lily, and Lily seems more chill, confident, warm, and like she nurturing. She seems that way. And she's basically telling Nina to take off what she has and put on what she's telling her, right? Which is black. And Nina before this had not had any, as far as I see and remember, she didn't have any black tops ever. The darkest she got was gray, like a dark gray, and black pants. Now she's at a black top, but it wasn't her own choice. Um, Lily had brought it with her. And then she gives her like Molly or like ecstasy or some pill like that, so she could tap into her heart space with less fear, right? So then she kind of started to be more comfortable with the guys there, and like we see that, right? And so now Nina is staying and she's drinking with the guys, which is that Saturn energy again. She wasn't being strict on herself, and she was like getting away from the rules and the habitual things that were probably helping her move towards the Swan Queen energy just by herself, right? But Lily wants her to stay longer, so she stays longer. She's listening to someone outside of herself. And she tried to leave multiple times, right? But even so much. Even a woman who is like, oh, come on, like, let's go here. And she's being charming and playful. Like, she's still getting you to do what she wants you to do and you don't know what that is, which is kind of like the mermaid energy. And it's Pisces, the final, so it's like she already knows where she wants her to go. She already knows the final destination. Lily, that's her plan, right? But while she's in the process, she's still gonna be charming and like, but in the process, she's gonna be leading Nina where she wants her to go, to her death trap. And you're not gonna see the mermaid drowning someone to the deepest depths of the water until the very end, because they gotta trust them, they gotta be charming, they gotta get them close enough to pull them in with them. Misery loves company or something like that. I think that's how it goes. So now she's being irresponsible, and again, she's not being her own father, right? Because the mom was being overbearing, but what Nina needs is a father also. So she should have left and slept in whatever, right? Like, fuck Lily. If it's fuck Nina, it's fuck Lily. You feel me? But okay. So, apparently, from what we see, now this is all very psychological, okay? There's a lot of reflection stuff, like when she was in the tub, the water energy, and the mirror. So there's a lot of reflective stuff, okay? So we see that Nina finally loses control and lets go, and it seems like a positive thing, but perhaps it's not, right? Perhaps it's a trick, perhaps it seems that way, but it's actually not that way. Because we don't know Lily's intentions. We just know that it seemed like she threatened her, and then all of a sudden she shows up at her house, and then she's offering her drugs and telling her what to wear. And then Nina is trying to escape, and she's like, no, come on, we're having fun. So now they get in the cab. Again, someone else is driving. Nina's not in control. She's not driving. She's trusting someone else, someone outside of her, who seems like they have their best interests at heart, but who knows? And this person doesn't even seem like they have that, but okay. So then Lily makes a move on Nina, right? So maybe she was thinking about it already, maybe, who knows? And then the mom gets upset, and then she tells Nina, you're not my Nina, right? Because she felt like she couldn't control her anymore. She was being Lily's Nina, because now it's like Lily was controlling her, right? And at that point, she said, you're not my Nina anymore. So she still doesn't want Nina to control herself, but she doesn't want someone else to either. A man who's trying to sleep with her, or a woman who's trying to sleep with her. Apparently. Who knows? And then, so then Nina kisses Lily. Now she's making the first move, which is important. And then that's the first time we see that Nina has some sort of a back tattoo. So, yeah. And then we see Lily calling her a sweet girl, and then tries to suffocate her, right? She's not acknowledging the gangster side of her. And then Nina finally oh god. So I wrote down that Lily's playing mind games with Nina, and then apparently Nina threw up. I think there was a scene where Nina like threw up, so from the inside, what is she trying to get out? And like vomit is very acidic. It can destroy things. So I think she's trying to get out something that has to do with like destruction from within her. But she was just drinking, and she took some pills, so maybe it was like that she was trying to like get rid of or something. And then so that's like a emotional, internal, psychological, subconscious thing that's going on with Nina. But right after that, we see her throwing away her stuffed animals. So that's a physical thing of her. We see her actually getting rid of something. So we see her throwing up, trying to get rid of something. That's like, usually we throw up to try to get rid of something so we could get better. And then she's throwing away her stuffed animals. And stuffed animals is all soft. It's all like protection. It helps us sometimes feel safe when we're sleeping with our stuffed animals and like we're not alone. So alone. And so now she's throwing that away. So okay, the mirrored thing. And then blood drips, crushed, wounded, but she's not scared. Right now, she's filled with acceptance. And when you're pushed too far, I don't know what I meant by that. Okay, we're almost done. So after she threw up and after she threw away her stuffed animals, they were weighing Nina, and they said that she lost weight. Usually, when we're trying to protect ourselves and it's not in the most healthiest way, we tend to become hoarders. We tend to be overweight because physically, with hoarders, and they're physically holding things, they're like, no, 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 don't throw this away, don't throw that away. Like, I might need that, I might need this. Like, they're trying to protect themselves because in the future they might go without. They might not have that. And so they're holding on to things to protect themselves in a way. That's physical. Mental, psychological, um, people tend to carry more weight, and there's a lot of different reasons why someone may carry more weight than is healthy, like peak healthy. But one of the big reasons psychologically is because when we have more fat on our body and someone punches us, subconsciously we feel like it's not supposed to hurt us as much, or it's not going to hurt us as much. So now Nina, she threw up, she got rid of her stuffed animals. She's getting away more from that like just innocent sweet twin. She's starting to get more into that dark twin. And now we see that she lost weight. Like, she actually let things go. And when you emotionally let things go, like maybe you're holding on to certain sayings, you're holding on to certain information so that you could protect yourself, but then you're letting things go and you're like forgetting about it. You don't feel the need to protect yourself as much. So you do tend to lose weight. So she's starting to feel safer in her body. Okay? Because before that, she got the dancing ballerina room to herself. Then the night before the weigh-in, she actually used the stick to lock her mom out. But there was still that dark energy in her room. She just locked herself in the room with it, which was Lily. But maybe she felt like, she wasn't seeing Lily clearly either, but she was starting to see maybe her mom clearly, and her mom obsessing over her, but she wasn't seeing how Lily was obsessing over her. Not yet, right? And she freaking locked herself in the room with her, but she was feeling more safe, so I feel like that's why she lost weight. And then she sees someone in the mirror, and then comes in Lily after she sees someone in the mirror, which is spiritual. Physically, she sees Lily and she panics and she goes, what is she doing here? And then she's telling Tama, like, it can't be her, she's after me. And again, Tama is like discarding her because he's ignoring her, like, oh, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? And I think at this point, I kind of see that Nina was probably realizing that she needed to go at it alone. Okay. And so now Lily is laughing, and I think there's a scene where she's having sex with Tama, but I think it's made to seem like it's not actually happening, and I think it wasn't actually happening, but to um, Nina, it felt like it was actually happening, right? All the psychological stuff. So we don't know if she like what's going on, right? And so Lily then turns into Nina. So at first, we always saw, I think, before this, just someone else being Nina, right? When she was in the tub, when she was on the train, right? All this like the train is like a spiritual thing. Someone else is moving it. It has to do with light hypnosis, right? And someone else in control. And then the part where she was in the water and it was kind of telling her to like slow down, I think, in a way. She sees herself again. But she never saw like she never like imagined like like Lily turning into Nina. It was just like maybe she was on the plane on the train, that first scene on the train, and then Lily said where she had just came back from, and I think it was almost describing where Nina was traveling on, and but this is the first time we see, I think, Lily and then Nina, right? So, and then Tama turns into the all black, right? It looks like a monster. I don't know if that's supposed to be like the Swan King. I'm not sure, but he's all black too, and he's like heavy breathing and like gathering. Oh no, she Nina's heavy breathing and she's gathering her things, right? So she's feeling like contracted, like hard to breathe, and then like gathering her things. Like okay, now I'm trying to protect myself. Where's my things? Like a hoarder, and it's physically. And then the heavy breathing, the contracting is like within. That's what's going on inside of her. And then Nina goes to Beth and she returns her things. And so this is basically like outside of the play, this is real world. This is kind of where she's feeling and seeing, like how in the play, the white swan saw the bad twin tricking the prince, right? So she's kind of seeing like she's catching Lily and Tama having sex, so that's kind of like the play where the nice twin catches the bad twin having sex with who the white twin was supposed to marry, and that was supposed to be her true love. So then so now she experienced that betrayal of Lily with Tama, whether it was real or not, because I don't think they would be having sex in front of everyone like that. But maybe that's what happened behind closed doors because Lily wants that part and maybe Nina is picking up on it, but she doesn't know how to make sense of it, of what she's feeling, right? Her intuition. Because every time she was trying to protect herself, someone got upset with her and she apologized for doing what was best for her and being her own parent and nurturing herself. Like, give me some space, leave me alone so I can grow. Stop picking at me or else I'm never gonna grow, right? Excuse me. I am not meant to stay up 24 hours, you guys. Okay, cheers. Okay, so I'm telling you, I literally wrote something down for like everything. So now that that happened and she experienced that betrayal, I think Nina kind of experienced the type of betrayal that Beth felt when she saw Nina just standing next to Tamal, right? When he gave that speech and Lily was there. And yeah, so I think she was realizing that what those heavy emotions and seemingly weak emotions, like looking for help outside of herself, nurturing outside of herself, she started to understand what Beth was experiencing then. It was very psychological. And so she goes to see Beth and she apologizes and she was returning her stuff, and Beth is still upset because she's still stuck, right? She's not walking around. There's no movement, so she's still stuck psychologically. We're seeing this physically that she's stuck and can't go nowhere, but mentally she's stuck and can't go nowhere, and I think she's trying to make sense of it. And but she is in a wheelchair, so she is more in control. She can push herself, right? So Nina apologizes to Beth and she says, I was just trying to be perfect, just like you. But whose definition of perfect? Was she trying to be Tomas's definition of perfect? His perspective of Beth's weak side, I guess. And then, or was she trying to be like her own definition of perfect in the very beginning, how she saw Beth? Because in the very beginning, how she saw Beth was like, oh no, she can like women in their up into their 50s could still do ballet. You know what I mean? If they don't give up and if they keep it pushing, I guess. But it was almost like then she started to, maybe she was trying to be perfect the way Tomas wanted to, and she was starting to feel that pressure. And so then Beth grabs the nail filer. So the nails. The first time we see Nina picking at her nails was when Tomas was giving the speech, and Beth was there. So there's something about the nails with Beth and Nina and the protection, right? But what happened when she returned that stuff? Beth started to stab herself in the face. So it was almost like it was almost like what she was using to protect herself, she was using against herself. Because again, we all control ourselves. And a lot of the times, most of the time, people are going to try to control you. Even when you're at your strongest mental state, they're still going to try it. So you have to be consistent, like that Capricorn energy. You have to protect yourself before it even happens. Even if you are strong, right? Like the statue, like a rock, like the oldest, most difficult part of the earth that you have to water in order to even move. If not, you're just going to get like dust if you're lucky, right? So, yeah. And then Beth is like saying that she's nothing, right? She's saying it to herself, like I'm not perfect, I'm nothing, right? And then she's stabbing herself. And then after that, Nina washes her hands. And then I think she said, sweet girl, right? Like she was almost trying to go back. And then Nina throws up. Like maybe she's still trying to get rid of something. She's trying to get rid of something, right? She gives Beth her stuff back, that's physically. She's trying to get rid of that energy. But we also see her throw up for the second time. And she's trying to get rid of something spiritually as well. She's trying to get rid of what manifested physically and what's going on internally. So, yeah. So, with this whole Piscean, Gemini energy, and even Virgo, and yeah, and we'll say Sagittarius. So, at the end, the person who sees the entire plot and knows what's going to happen at the end, but it also has to do with like not seeing things clearly, is Pisces. And that has to do with wisdom. Pisces is very wise. Pisces is like, if you guys have seen The Lion King, the monkey that like hits the lion in the head, and he sounds crazy and he's laughing and he's saying something which doesn't make sense in the moment, but it makes sense later, right? Pisces is the very last zodiac sign. So a lot of the times they seem crazy. They're like this crazy old wise person who's like youthful also. And whatever crazy thing they're saying may not make sense now, But there's gonna come a point way down the road when the movie's ending, probably, or almost over, where we're like, and we're like, oh my God, like whatever they said, like makes sense now. So Pisces is wisdom, okay? Gemini is very smart, just like Virgo. They come from the planet of intellect. They're both very smart. But being smart and intellectual is different than being wise. So let's take a little break. Let's start another video. Oh God, the mouse isn't moving. Maybe it doesn't want me to take a break.